What do we have here? Ooh, sleek, beautiful silver and black Trek 5000. Yes, OCLV, made in the United States. Let's do a review on this classic gem with 105 componentry and Bontrager wheels. Yeah, it sounds like a promo, but it is not. This is in for a refurbishing tune-up for me to resell. So this is one of my gems that I picked up and going to be bringing it back to life, try to get some of these scratches out with detailing the frame, completely inspecting and cleaning all the parts and making sure it is tip-top shape, ready to take on to new ventures and riding. But it has a lot of roughness to it, so let's get into this. If you found something like this in your neck of the woods in the used market, let's definitely make sure we know how much we're going to be getting into cost-wise. It could be something in the case of, was it a bad purchase? Or hey, actually this turned out to be a gem diamond in the rough. After this.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously I have a garage shop. Take scary out of used, one bike at a time. If you want to be kept up to date on latest projects and topics, please like and subscribe.
Hey, welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging with the guy. Hey, I'm Justin the Guy in this old bike series, and bam, we got a Trek 5000 here to go over. These were actually basically the step down from the 5200, which is a pretty well known. 5200s usually had the Ultegra componentry on it. They made a 5000 model for several years, and then they pushed it over to, well, I don't know if they made a 5.0. They did have a 5.2 and a 5.6 when they did the conversion over to overseas building. That's an easy way to identify. In addition to, they were pretty proud to put a sticker on the chainstay here saying made in the United States, which is true and relevant. They were built in Waterloo, Wisconsin, and another location. They had two facilities at the time. I think they've only shrunk down to one now. It's mostly corporate offices, and they do some custom painting and some other little things there, product testing and so forth. But looking at this bike here, the Trek 5000, looking at the componentry, has a mix of 105 Ultegra on it, which is kind of tricky bit. They did a lot of part switching starting in the 90s. Reason being is they put an elevated, upgraded rear derailleur and lower graded componentry on the rest of the bike to basically bait and switch you in a sense that you would assume the whole bike was Ultegra when it was not. Yeah, no, whatever. They've been doing it for decades, so I'm not going to harp on the soapbox on that one, but this particular one does have a mix, but it's a decent mix. I mean, it's not like they're dropping it 3 or 4 levels down. Case in point, Ultegra, shifters, and rear brake, but it does have 105 front derailleur, which between the front derailleur 105 and Ultegra, you will not know the difference between the two. The brakes, 105 versus Ultegra, again, you would not know the difference in performance between the two. Maybe a little bit of weight, other than that, nah. In another case, they did switch out the cranks into the Shimano crank. They had the Bontrager, which were mostly made from FSA company, white branded, white labeled type of thing. But the beauty of this, it is a triple. That is a win-win in my book because triples give you that extra gear to do these things called mountains that we have in our neck of the woods or maybe in your neck of the woods too. It's nice to have. If you don't have it, you wish you did. In any case, the industry has been switching over to the 2x, 1x up front, which means they're getting rid of the triples altogether, which is sad. Very sad. But in any case, you can still find them in the used market. Most of the time, people that are getting into cycling are going to be looking into the used market as well. So here we are. The Trek OCLV carbon. Okay, awesome, compact, low void. Okay, it's a big mouthful buzzword of carbon, but the carbon is actually lugged and fitted together and bonded. They use this particular style of carbon building in the United States for, I would say, close to a decade, and true and tested and proven. Carbon doesn't wear out. It doesn't break down. It has infinite flex cycles according to Trek's Kool-Aid testing back in the 90s. But in the case, it is also repairable if it is damaged by impact and so forth. There's several companies out there that will do that. And that being said, versus aluminum stiffer, it will eventually crack and break down. at some point, it takes a lot of riding, folks. I mean, it takes a lot of riding for it to, unless it was a design flaw or a manufacturer flaw of heat treating with aluminum. The carbon's going to last you a long time. A lot of people have a bad perception like it's dainty material. It is not. It is very strong. It outlasts and is stronger than aluminum in the sense if you had an impact, the aluminum would bend before the carbon would actually fracture. In any case, not to say I've not seen it. I have a few hanging that have been damaged. Just haven't had them repaired yet or repaired them myself. You can do it yourself with a $100 kit. I wouldn't do the fiberglass thing. People try to do that. That's kind of like a no-no. I would stick with actually doing a carbon repair kit and do the processes and definitely read the instructions to do so. Also, heat is your friend, so you're probably going to have to do it in the summertime. Reason being is you need that bonding agents to cure correctly, and has to be, I believe, over 85 degrees or higher, or a big old heat gun to do so. Well, back to this bike here. Found it used. I'm not sure it was the original owner, but it's been ridden. It's been ridden pretty good. You can tell by the drivetrain is a gunky mess. I'm going to be definitely do a completely clean drivetrain on this guy. Ultrasonic cleaner, that's right behind me. Chain is stretched, so I'll put a new chain on it. Most likely a chain that has wax. I'm just got into wax. It's just the best way to go. I've had customers converting all their bikes over to wax chains. Definitely super clean and smooth. Check out a link below in my description of the waxing process and benefits. So this one has a couple things to watch out for. Oh yeah, watch out for. The paired spoke systems from Bontrager were a great idea, actually taken from the Rolf paired spoke leasing back in the 90s. This is the race model, which makes me nervous because the race model and the pro model of the paired spoke systems most likely had hairline cracks around the drive side nipples on the rear wheel. It's just they took way too much material and trying to make them too light. And when you're looking at higher tension spokes, that was a fail point. I'll definitely will take a look at this and get a good inspection. If that's the case, the fronts are usually okay. The rears were the ones that mostly affected. As you can see, I have a few hanging behind me as decoration as well up here too. So that might be a big uplift, but lucky for me, the used market has dropped quite a bit, including parts. I should be able to find a good wheel set that's comparable in quality for around $100 used. But buyer beware on used wheels. You want to make sure you check the hubs and the true of the wheels and the rims and all that too. It takes an expertise eye to catch anything in the field when somebody's trying to sell something. And even case in point, myself included, I've missed a few things when I just bought wheels separately and put them on the truing stand and boom, there's a little ding. Any case, when you're vetting bikes as well as parts, try to get them from the original owner so you know the history, or less they're inspected by a professional mechanic like me that's gone through it with a fine-tooth comb and that stands behind their work. That being said, here we go, the Trek OCLV. This was kind of the classics within that Lance Armstrong era of OCLV frames, bonded carbon, similar style. The carbon that they used for the races and the Tour de France and Lance Armstrong's team were a little bit higher grade carbon. This is 120, I believe they had 110. That just means it's just a different style. There's a lot of different kinds of carbons out there, so there's a lot of buzzwords to go with them too to get kind of confused. But the general properties of carbon really basically absorbs a lot of the road vibration and lightweight. So it's kind of the best mix between titanium feel and the lightweight of aluminum. Therefore, you got the carbon best scenario. Also be able to repair it too, like we mentioned before. Also with carbon, they actually can manipulate the areas on the newer frames. They've been doing a layering system. This is tubed, so it's like tubed. And they can do this, they did the same thing on these, but just in a more of a general sense. Thicker areas to make it more rigid, thinner areas to have more flex. Since it is a very strong material and holds up for a lot of road friction, they can take away a lot of material. Sometimes some companies get a little too carried away and they develop a crack or so, or the wall thicknesses are too thin for tolerances afterwards. So in any case, these are actually thicker tubing. Basically, bottom line, these are bomb-proof in a sense that they hold up for general riding or even racing well. The thicker tubing, they hold up. You don't have any of those cracking issues like you some of the newer frames or frames from other companies. And they're also built in the United States, which is kind of a cool little feather in the cap of that. The carbon fork, this is the 110 carbon fork, which is that lighter material that I was talking about, a little bit lighter weight, absorption as well. This is more of a straight blade design. And again, they can do all sorts of different manipulations of the carbon of the fork to give kind of different ride feels. More rigid, tighter corner riding, that kind of thing. On this bike, what we're looking at, I'll try to remember what I paid for this about a little while ago. Been kind of busy with repairs in interim, but here we go. I'd say it was around 250-ish, which I've been finding a lot of carbons around 250 to 300. They do need work in that price point. If you're looking for a full carbon bike, you've been finding them, or I have been finding them in the used market around the $700 to $800, which are a lot more pristine and immaculate shape, but you still probably need to have a minor tune done on those. But this particular one is going to need some stuff. That's why the price is driven down. Number one, it needs tires. So we got some tires to put on there. Pedals, that's pretty much a given because I wanted to have pedals that are more platform for my customers who basically are not into clipless pedals. Bar tape as well, cables and housing, new chain, and then some various other bits on there as well, probably a pretty small lift. If the saddle's chunked up, I have some replacement saddles that are used that would fit the bill. Diving into it, sometimes you don't know about the bearings of the headset of the bottom bracket. We'll check into that. The teeth look pretty decent on the crankset and the cassette too, so I may not have to do a lift there. I did check the jockey pulleys for any crackage on this vintage. It looks like it's still intact, just really caked up with gunk. So $250 for the bike, right? Then you got, let's say, another $50 or $100 for tires. So you're at $350 there. Pedals, bar tape, the cables and housing, probably another $100 there. So $250, $350, $450, and various other things. Let's throw another $50 in there. Sound like a what are those? Auctioneers. What we got, lo and behold, we're looking about $500 just in for parts and bike. Then you tack on the tune-up itself. See a mechanic similar to me or other better looking, hopefully. They will be able to go through the whole bike and do some high detail tune-up. This one will need the cables and housing, bar tip and all that. That would be in your $300 to $400 price range for tune-up from your local shop. Prices may vary depending on your market. For me, my tune-ups, since I'm out of the garage, a little bit lower with higher quality, and you actually get to know the mechanic. Therefore, you're probably looking about $200-ish, $250 for labor on this particular one. So about half of what you would pay at your local shop. If you can vet a mechanic similar to me in your neck of the woods, even all the better. We're becoming more popular over the years. The reason being is a lot of people like to get to know their mechanic and the service work that they do and provide. And the big stores, you just don't ever meet your mechanic because they go to a service rider and gets thrown in a shuffle of the mix. There's nothing wrong with that, but some people prefer to see the person that actually is working on their bike and get details from there. In any case, if that comes all in light and that everything works out good, that's where we're probably looking at price. But if the wheels are something that needs to be elevated or switched out, add on another $100 on top of that. So anywhere between $700, $800, maybe $900, but yet you're still under $1,000 if you're doing it outright. For me, for my business, something like this, with the parts that I've gotten a little bit lower price and my labor, and if I do find a used set of wheels, I might have a pair floating around here that'll work just fine. I can keep the prices even a little bit lower. So hopefully I can try to keep this bike and retail for me around $6-ish. So fully tuned, ready to go with a fitting, bought locally. You will definitely have one stellar, awesome bike, which will still blow the doors off of any new bike in the market that's from Trek, Specialized, and Giant, because their road bikes will start about $1,500 with a bottom of the aluminum frame. To get into a carbon fiber 105, you're looking at $3 to $4 grand. That's just how it is. But in today's market with the used, how the prices have gone down pretty low. If you're into riding and looking at getting into the road because you've been in a mountain, or if you're just starting off, you can get yourself a pretty darn solid bike, and that will carry you for a long period of time. And if you do really get into it and want to get something that's new and shiny and fancy, then you can justify paying the higher price or look for a refurbished higher end bike like from my site or Pros Closets or other companies like so. So there's a lot of opportunities out there, and definitely this is the time that it is definitely buyer's market, not seller's market. So hopefully I can get this one up and running to as mint condition as possible for somebody to get into riding. Without further ado, let's dive into this. I will review some parts after this. If I come across any issues, I will highlight those, but here we go. Let's crank some tunes, throw on some gloves, and get focused. Get this thing done. Alrighty, here we go. We got the wheel all nice and true with a nice ceramic wax coating on it. Clean off the rims with rubbing alcohol, so you want to do that after you do any kind of a wax or treatment. Also, I found with either ceramic coatings or waxes, really make these black spokes come back to life. Sometimes when you clean them, they actually get more of that tarnished look. That actually is a great way. And a lot of them are just kind of an oil-based kind of covering, so that makes this a little bit nice. So yeah, I use a little bit of a Mother's Wax ceramic blend, and also I use the ceramic slam from Lithium, which makes the frame pop. So I use a mixture. Yeah, we're gonna put bar tape, pedals, new tires. I got the chain cleaning. We're gonna wax it, so that's my little waxer. So I'm gonna get that going here in a little bit. In addition to a wax coated clean, ultrasonic clean, the actual derailleur bits. This does have, bam, a cracked pulley. So I got a bent Dura-Ace derailleur with 9-speed pulleys. So I'm going to throw those guys on this guy. Nice little upgrade for the triple. Long cage. 105 brakes, like I mentioned before. You're not going to notice the difference in the performance between the Ultegra. Just a little bit of weight difference, so not even that. Skewers, clean the ends, but I will grease those when I put them in. Those pedals will be swapped out with platform pedals, because most of my people are just beginning riding and they do not start off quick release. These came out immaculate with a nice wax ceramic coating on there. In addition to ultrasonic clean and lubed, and the lube that I use for small parts like this is either tri. I like the foam for the shifters because it gets inside there and really kind of gets in those little bits. And drip lube, the superior lube from Tri-Flow, for all the pivots on the derailleurs and so forth. That really comes to life. The cassette I keep clean because we're going to be putting a wax chain on there. There's my little bits. They're going to be cleaned and put back together. Pull the bonnet bracket to clean it out. Bearings are good still. And here we go. I did the 3 process of scratch and swirl, compound, and polish from Adams. Those were in conjunction with the little buffing pads that I have for each, color coded accordingly to get the frame to look like this. Yes, we're looking really awesome here. We do have chips on the frame, but with the ceramic coating from Lithium that I put on there, which I found to be a little bit easier to use, easier to stack than the Adams version graphene. You know, you can use any kind of ceramic coatings, whatever you prefer, but I found the Lithium to work really well. And you can get it on Amazon pretty cheap, or you look at below, you'll find a link for 15% off Lithium's website. So that's a great way to start these processes of cleaning and detailing your frame. But yeah, let's take a look. You see, it's ashed, or it flashed with a white coating on there. Other ones like the Adams will flash like a gasoline look. Okay, with the Adams you got to get on it quick because you have that period of flash and then you're done, which you'll see like kind of like that streaky smear thing that you see on glass when you clean it with Windex. Sometimes you can't, and then you use paper, newspaper trick to clean it off, but you don't do that here. But with the Lithium, even though you stack it and let it sit for a while, this is 3 coats because I want to make sure these little exposed carbon chipped areas have a good penetration of the coating. That will give it water bead protection. It'll prevent any water going underneath that paint. Also with the flashing, it's kind of with lithium, you don't have to do it in a certain window, and your atmosphere is going to affect this, because if you're in a humid climate, the flash is going to be a different time than a dry arid climate that we're at. And a dry arid climate is going to flash a lot faster, so you can be on it, and you have to do smaller sections on a car. But with the lithium, I found you could just do a huge section, or in this case a bike, and regardless of how long it's been sitting there, the knockdown actually is pretty amazing. You just see that. My goodness. Let's do that again. You see the kind of ash white there, and then bam, you got the sparkles of the silver glitter, and that Trek just pops. You'll feel a tug at first swipe, and after that, bam, super slick. I would put dollars to donuts that you've put this in a wind tunnel before and after the actual coating. You will have some benefit. For my chubby butt, you're definitely not going to be a benefit for me, but the benefit I'm looking for is UV protection, water beading, tight beads, so when you go to clean it, it cleans a lot easier, and that contaminants are not sticking to the frame, like right underneath here where the road tar flips up, chip seal crap, you know, all that junk that you run into on a road. And I do an extra coating underneath as well. All those certain areas to get an extra little protection. And I did the little bars here, but look at that head badge. That looks like new. Barring the little chip here, barring a little chip there. And I call that letting the devils out, because my mom did the same things. Nothing can be perfect. You got to have something to let the devils out, so give you still a ride. This frame turned out to be immaculate. And the componentry, oddly enough, this wheel is actually in good shape. It has no hairline cracks or anything, so it's still really in good shape. Componentry in good shape. Chain needs to be replaced, so we're doing that. Tires are original. Tires that were on there, so that means this has not been used very much. So, in any case, here we go. Let me crank some tunes and get this bike back together, and we'll take it for a little test ride and do a little review of how it feels after 20-some years of being existent. Trek 5000, Ultegra, Shimano, 105, Bontrager wheels, Bontrager bits. Yeah, let's check this out after this. All right, let's take this thing for a test ride. So exciting. Trek 5000. All right, check everything. Platform pedals on there. See how well this thing performs. All right. Ooh, super smooth out of the gate. Let's check the brakes. Ooh, yeah, very responsive. There we go. Ooh, have the seat a little high. That's surprising for me. This is a 58 centimeter, by the way. Go through each gear. Light and polite because the chain has been freshly waxed. So you want to ease into those first few miles, not jamming. Essentially, you are causing stiff links with the wax until it breaks free. That kind of thing. So this is a triple. Oop, and it does jump into that triple. Super nice. Check it out. Up to the middle ring. It's a Bontrager crank, which is possibly made by Truveta. So it's one of their white labeling brands. Oh, all right, let's try the big ring. Oh, boom. There we go. Ooh, super smooth. Definitely takes up a lot of the road vibration, being a full carbon frame. You can definitely do some modifications with the stem, bars, and seat post to make it even more comfy, relaxed, more enduro fitting. The 5000, 5200s are more of what the Madone used to be, or what a Madone is today. So it's more of that mid-range race geometry, but you can do some modifications to make it more enduro. Yeah, super. Wow. Hey,
it shifts, it smarts, it shifts and stops and feels good. This is gonna go to somebody that's really gonna enjoy it. As you can see, the sun is finally coming out and we are getting some glitter in the paint. Get some massive detailing on this guy. Got some 3 stacks of ceramic coating. Oh yeah, that felt pretty good. Nice little ride. Very smooth. All right. All right, let's do a little review here. Silver black glitter OCLV 120 carbon, bonded made in the United States with 105 from Shimano with Ultegra shifters with Ultegra derailleur. So it has the upgrades where you're gonna actually feel it. This does have the Bontrager Race wheel set, so they seem to be in pretty good shape, clean, very true. And the crankset, you know, it's a true Veda white label. It works well, but if it's something you want to upgrade later, a different 10-speed or a 9-speed crankset with a Shimano, definitely can. It has external bearings, in-shape headset, so it has all your standard bits to upgrade if you want to or need to. But to start off out of the gate, this bike is pretty phenomenal and ready to ride. So, you know, it'd take a hard press to go to the next level bike after getting this as an entry level. It would take you a little while. Reason being, full carbon, good componentry. Yeah, and today's standards for new, you're looking at a carbon bike with this mixed componentry, you're looking easily 4,000 to 5,000. So anyway, that's a pretty awesome bike. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage and going through this definitely refurbishing, whatever, from the garage. If it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. Additional information is in the description below. If you have something similar to this, please comment. It is community, and again, it makes you to make this work, so thank you for watching. You make this channel as much as I do, so thanks again. And hey, before you go, check out these beautiful pictures in the sun of this magnificent Trek 5000.